Just before we start the episode, here's a trailer for another podcast. If you like what you hear, go and check it out.
Hi guys, I'm Amy.
And I'm Kenzie.
And we're the hosts of the new true crime podcast, Sheer Crime.
We are old beauty school friends who reconnected a decade later to learn that not only did we now live in the same town, but we are both true crime fanatics.
Every week, in the comfort of my basement, cold drinks in hand, we discuss true crime documentaries and give our raw and uncensored take on the evil acts that occur in our world.
If COVID, quarantine, and working from home have you aching for a break from the same old, come hang with us on Sheer Crime.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else that you subscribe and listen.
New episodes are released every Wednesday, and bonus episodes are sprinkled in here and there.
We can't wait to hear from you.
And remember, never run with scissors. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Jill.
And this is Crime Divers.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to this week's episode, which is called...
Da-da-da-da-dum. No, that's not how you do a drum, is it?
Right, that was pathetic.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, it's called Can't Buy Me Love.
Can't buy me love.
Oh God.
Is that not a song, isn't it?
Yeah, don't start singing, please.
Okay, yeah, I'm not really good.
It was a
singer.
Beatles song.
Yeah, I suck at singing. Sorry. Where in the world are we, Jill?
Well, we're actually back in the UK.
Oh, hello, UK.
Yeah, we are in Doncaster in England.
See, to be fair, I mean, as much as we're doing worldwide ones, there's still so many interesting ones in the UK.
There is.
So
That's what what we've said. I don't want to limit ourselves. So if we see UK ones, we'll do the UK ones.
Absolutely.
If we see, other worldwide ones, we'll do them. So I just came across this one and it was like, oh well, England, we're back in the UK then.
Cool. Shall we dive in?
Let's dive in. So the year of this one is 1998.
So not too long. Well, actually, it's quite long.
It's donkeys ago.
Yeah, that's
Like
right,
23 years ago.
Oh God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah, right.
That's 23 years ago.
I totally did not register how long ago that actually was. Yeah. Wow, I'm old.
Yeah. Join the club. So Howard I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his second name. I know we're in England, but I still have problems. Howard Walmsley.
Anyway, Howard. We'll go for Howard.
And his wife Kathy lived in Doncaster in England.
Okay.
And they'd been married for 5 years. Stop swinging on that chair.
I did quietly.
He worked as a painter and decorator and he had his own business. And Kathy did work, but I don't know what her job was. I couldn't find out.
Right.
It's not relevant. She had a job.
Fair enough.
But unfortunately, they just weren't bringing in enough money to pay the bills. So they were skin and their marriage was on the rocks. Basically, Kathy she was close to leaving Howard and I think he knew it.
Right.
So one day they were out shopping and Kathy saw a pair of shoes that she really liked. And they were £8, but she knew that they had bills to pay and they just couldn't afford it. So Howard said, no, get them. And she's like, no, because she was like the sensible one when it came to money. And she was like, no, I know what bills we have to pay.
Yeah.
Like, nah, we can't afford it. And he said, just get them, get whatever you want, treat yourself. I won the lottery.
Right, okay.
He said, so of course she's like, yeah, right, whatever, and he just didn't believe him, which we do.
I know, I'm thinking, has he? Alright.
Right. So he said he wasn't sure yet how much he'd won.
Okay.
But obviously there was enough to buy an £8 pair of shoes.
You think though, if that was the case, that he'd won the lottery, surely that was not the moment that he would be like, oh, I've won the lottery. You'd think that...
Well, maybe he was just wanting to surprise her later or something like that. He maybe had something planned, but he wanted her to have these shoes.
Oh, maybe.
Who knows? But that's how he told her. And as I said, she didn't believe him at first. But then, because he'd said, get the shoes, get whatever else you want, we've got the money.
Go for it.
Go for it. So, but he told Kathy to keep the news to herself for now, because as I say, like, he didn't know how much he'd won. And
That's
all the
fairly
rest of
normal,
it.
isn't it? Not everybody wants people to know that they've
No,
won the
but
lottery.
within days, he started telling people, and it's like, well, why are you telling people if you told her not to tell anybody?
That's true.
So he told his sister and his brother-in-law, and then he told the neighbours. So obviously the news ended up spreading like wildfire.
Of course.
Like, and everyone in the community ended up finding out.
Right.
So he still hadn't told anybody how much he'd won, but judging on how much he was splashing the cash, like, they assumed it was a lot. Like just for instance, like, whenever they went out, he would be the one that was buying everybody drinks, and he would take friends out for meals, and you know, he was the one who was treating everybody.
Yeah.
And he decided to take Kathy on their first holiday abroad.
Oh, that'd be nice.
So they went to Gran Canaria so that they could just chill out and decide what they were going to do with their money. Which, funnily enough, because me and John love Gran Canaria, I mean, we've been 8-9 times maybe to Gran Canaria.
Yeah.
And we've always said if we won the lottery, we would just go and jump on a plane, go to Gran Canaria, and just figure out what we were going to do with our money.
Yeah.
So, and I was watching a documentary, and I knew straight away, I was like, that's Gran Canaria, because the two videos.
It's not a place I've never been.
I don't think it's really a place to go now, though. It's went right downhill, so we haven't been for about 4 years now.
Yeah, I have to say it's not somewhere I would pick to go, I suppose. But...
No, I don't think it's your kind of holiday.
No.
So anyway, where was I? So Howard told Kathy that they couldn't go wild just yet, though, because the winnings were in an offshore account. They were just getting the interest at the moment. So if they ran out of money, they would have to wait a month till the next payment came through. So they were living month to month off interest.
That makes no sense, but okay.
No, but that's apparently what was happening.
Right.
So Kathy just kept asking Howard how much he'd won, and he would just say, I've just won a little bit.
Right.
No being funny. My husband won the lottery, I'd be like,
How much did you
how
win?
much did you win?
My husband would be like, gloating about this is how much he won.
Exactly. So
I mean, so let's be honest, they would definitely tell us.
yeah, of course they would, but, you know, everybody's marriage is different. Maybe
Well, yeah, fair enough.
they
Fair
don't
enough.
tell each other everything.
Well,
I don't think they do.
no, I was going to say by the sounds of it, it's not going that way.
So once they were home, Kathy, she started to have doubts then, because obviously she'd had doubts at the start. Then she was convinced because he was splashing the cash, took her on holiday and everything like that. So right, okay. But she was starting to have doubts because the bills were still mounting up.
Right.
So she decided to phone Camelot. So they are the people, for anybody who doesn't know, they are the people who like run the lottery,
Yeah.
or own the lottery. I don't know.
Yeah, they do the lottery.
That's the company.
That's who you'd phone if you won big on the
Yeah.
lottery.
They pay. They're the ones with the money.
Yes, they are.
So she decided to phone Camelot to make sure that there actually was a win. So Camelot they obviously couldn't give out personal information. She can't phone up and say, well, did my husband win? You know, they can't tell you that. But they did. So what they said was, right, well, we'll give you a rundown of the amounts that have been won each week on a Wednesday and a Saturday.
Right.
So Kathy went through the dates, and for I don't know how, but for whatever reason, she came to the conclusion that Howard had won on the 17th of October 1998.
Right.
So when Howard came home, she said, well, you know when you won the lottery, was it the 17th of October? And he went, yeah, that was the date. And she went, right, well, you've won 8,904,558 pounds. And he said, yeah. He said, like, you know, she's like, are you sure? Like, that's actually what you won? And he said, yeah. But I'm sure you've guessed.
I'm thinking, no, it hasn't.
No, they hadn't won the lottery at all.
So where is he getting his money from then?
Let me tell you what he said though, right? Well, we'll get to that. But what he said, after she had said, have you won the lottery? Did you win the 8.9 million? He said later, quote, I had to lie, because if I hadn't have lied, then she would have known the truth. End quote.
That makes no sense.
No shit, Sherlock.
Anyway, duh.
I was watching a documentary, so like I watched him these words coming out of his mouth, and
there's actually a documentary on this.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
And my mouth just dropped. I was like, "What the fuck?" Like,
well, duh.
I'll
Because
tell
I
you
can see
that.
like the alarm bells to me, like though the interest isn't offshore. I mean that wouldn't happen.
No, well, I don't know if it would happen.
I
But
don't think it would
assume
happen.
It doesn't seem believable.
No.
But if you do want, I mean, obviously, I'll tell you the story. But if anybody wants to watch the documentary, which I found on YouTube, it's I think it's just called The Lottery Lie. I think it's called.
Right. Okay.
And Howard is the most boring person. I mean, he has no personality whatsoever.
Right.
Kathy, I don't know. She's obviously gullible.
Well, she's only partly gullible though, isn't she? Because she did question it at the start.
Well, yeah, she's not. She's kind of. She has her moments.
Yeah, I was going to say she did ring Camelot to check, so she
Yeah.
obviously did doubt the fact that he was telling the truth. So
And she's still going to have doubts as well. Like, obviously, at the moment, he's admitted to us on camera that it was a lie.
So
but
she doesn't know. In the documentary.
No, she doesn't. On the documentary, she does know. So it's like they're telling the story afterwards, but he hasn't. The story hasn't finished yet in the documentary. I'll explain later.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Should we just get on with it because.
Yeah.
Right. Because now I'm obviously just going to tell you how he was sort of getting away with it.
Yeah.
So remember, obviously now that we know he hasn't won £8.9 million, but Kathy thinks that he has.
Right. Okay.
Right. So, so that day when they'd been shopping and Kathy had wanted the shoes, that's when the idea came to him. He didn't want to lose her because obviously he knew that she was close to leaving, and so he thought that if he could buy her what she wanted, then she would stay. Which she did.
Well, yeah,
she actually did.
He was right. Yeah.
But I do think that she did love him. Though I don't think she stayed because of the money. I think the reason why she was close to leaving was just because they were arguing a lot and because of money.
It was putting
and
a strain on the relationship. Yeah.
So I think, although obviously money is going to help a lot, being a millionaire is going to help, I don't think that's exactly why she stayed, because I mean she still could have got divorced from him and
taken half the money.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it kind of seems like she maybe stayed with him for the money, but I don't think that was 100% of the reason.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but he obviously he mustn't have. I don't think he intended to say that he had won millions.
Right.
I think he, as I said, like it was just a spur of the moment. He was kind of like, "Oh, just have these shoes because I've won the lottery." I think he was just intending on saying he'd won maybe a few grand.
Yeah.
So what he did was he borrowed some money from the bank.
Right. Okay.
So that's how he managed to like pay for the holiday and things like
okay,
sort of splash the cash about.
Yeah.
So and then, if she hadn't checked up, she would have just thought that he'd just.
I'm assuming they didn't have joint bank accounts then, because that would have flagged up in her.
They must have.
They must have had joint bank accounts now.
And that never came to light. That was never mentioned. So. So I think that's what the aim was, just to like make her think that he'd won like a few grand.
Yeah, okay.
And that's easy enough. As I said, like you can borrow some money from the bank and take somebody on holiday and splash cash a bit. But but obviously once Kathy thought that they had won million, she arranged a party at a local club to celebrate and and Howard ended up buying everyone drinks all night. Now that I actually found this quite funny because on the documentary, she had, they're just sitting on the couch being interviewed. Yeah. And she went, so you bought the first round for everybody, didn't you? And he went, no, I bought drinks for everybody all night. It cost me £600. And she's just like, oh. So the way that I know everybody's marriage and relationship is different, but in my marriage, I would have known that he was buying drinks all night because he would have probably let me know or let everybody else. I would have known about it. It wouldn't have been.
I would have been the same.
Yeah, after all this time, it's she's just finding out that he was buying drinks all night, which I found weird.
I know, but then to me, I feel like he's been a bit silly because if he had just said, if she had asked him how much he had won and he just said a couple of thousand. Then it wouldn't have spiraled out of control because that's what's clearly happened. If he didn't intentionally mean to say that he had won millions, why didn't he just say, "Oh, I've won a few grand"?
Because he's stupid, and as you're going to find out, he's going to encourage the spending of money as well, which I don't understand in the slightest.
Did you ever find out how much he actually borrowed from the bank? Did it not say like how much?
No, I don't think so. Right, so. They had 8 kids between them. So they had 8 kids between them, plus parents, brothers and sisters. And they told them that they would share all their money equally. So at this party, they were all waiting for their checks. But they obviously didn't get them. So I'm assuming that Howard's excuse must have been that the money was still in the offshore account, so they couldn't get their money yet. But I'm like, really?
What did he tell them that, or did she tell them that? Because I mean,
no, what? That they were going to get the money?
They were going to share it equally.
I don't know.
Because I mean, surely we wouldn't be stupid enough to go, yeah, I'll share it equally, knowing that he's not got the money. All right, he is.
Listen, he's, as I said, he encourages her to spend money, so
Right, okay.
he could have offered them all that money. I don't know.
Right.
After the party, Howard realised that he was going to have to produce evidence of the win because people were asking questions and they were probably starting to doubt it. I mean, like, it's one thing throwing a party and buying everybody drinks, but it's another thing, like, actually...
Well, another thing as well is, like, if you win big on Camelot, they obviously give you the choice to go public or not public.
Well, they could have not went public, though.
Well, no, but then I do wonder, like, surely they still maybe present you with the cheque and stuff, just not publicly, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but then they didn't have to do it in front of all those people.
No, but even
Oh,
wife,
for her.
For her.
Yeah, but maybe they wouldn't get it until the money was in the account because according to her, she hasn't seen that money yet. That's still in the offshore account. So maybe she was expecting somebody to come with a cheque and then they would get the money in the account.
Right, okay.
I know Gullible's coming to mind.
Yeah, totally. I don't want to say it, but
Say it all you
Jesus,
like.
she's fucking gullible.
So yeah, so Howard decided to buy a car
Right.
to prove that he'd won this money.
Right, so that proves it.
Well, yeah, when you buy 3 of them. He went. He went to the Jaguar dealership in Doncaster.
Right.
And just casually let it slip that he had won the lottery. So he had a look around the showroom and he picked out an XJ8 in Seafrost Green, which cost £38,000.
Right.
So then he decided to buy Kathy a car as well. And together, both of the cars cost nearly £90,000.
Right.
And then he decided to buy another one for another member of the family. Don't know who it was because they didn't say. So the salesman must have been like, fucking dancer.
Yeah.
Because he ordered Kathy a bunch of flowers and gave her a bottle of champagne. So, but, like, they just took their word for it. This is what I mean. They just took their word for it, right?
Uh-huh.
So Howard was chatting away to the salesman and he said he was going to give a tractor to a village in Africa. He was going to set up trust funds for his children. He was going to buy cars and properties for his family.
Right.
And the salesman said, because the salesman was on this, like all these people that he conned was on this documentary as well.
Uh-huh.
And the salesman said Howard seemed generous and genuine and he accepted him for that.
Right.
So you've just accepted an absolute stranger. You've accepted because he seems genuine and generous that he's won the lottery basically. So basically what he's going to do now is he's going to let him borrow a Jag until the cars that he's bought are ready.
Why would you do that?
Because that's
But then-
what people do.
but
They
then-
fall all over themselves when people won the lottery.
But then surely there would have had to be a point of money talked about and how he's paying for these cars and like that, like because obviously you would have to go through the process.
No, they're just taking them.
But like they wouldn't. I mean, if he's saying he's giving you a car until your cars are ready, but surely there's still got to be a process.
Maybe
of
he paid a
sale.
deposit or something. I don't know about that. Don't ask me all these questions that I don't know about.
Well, I like to know the answers.
Well, Google it because I did and I didn't find out. But that's how he managed to convince people that it was legit because he was swanning around Doncaster in a Jag. Because this stupid salesman had just let him borrow a Jag.
Right.
Do you fancy going up to the car garage? Oh well, we're in lockdown. It's probably shut.
Uh-huh,
yeah,
yeah.
I was going to suggest just going and seeing if we can borrow a car.
Aye, why not? Top of the range.
And but Kathy said she said there were times when she had doubts about the lottery win, but when Howard decided to buy the 3 cars, she thought, nah, he wouldn't go that far. He wouldn't lie about it, and get 3 cars, would he? Like,
Oh, surely not.
so at this point she was convinced. She was
Right.
like, right, okay, he has won the lottery.
Yeah,
It's
uh-huh.
definite. So Kathy told Howard that she wanted to move away because they lived in a council house. They were sort of a council
Yeah.
estate. Which is, they said, just a nice enough area, but there was a lot of crime and
Yeah,
stuff. So, they had, I know they had 8 kids between them, but I think most of them must have moved on. I think they only had like maybe one living with them.
Right, okay.
I think they had a child together.
Right.
I think she was about 8 or something like that,
Uh-huh.
little girl. So she wanted to bring her up in a nice house,
Yeah,
out in the
I get that.
countryside.
Yeah, totally.
So Howard agreed, and they went house hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So they found a farmhouse, which they said was their dream home, and decided to buy it for $285,000 cash. It needed work done to it to make it fit for millionaires, so they had plans drawn up. So he's going along with this. Like, I can understand her doing it because she thinks they're millionaires.
But he must
He
know
is
that
going along with this.
There's no way that they can do this. And what a shame, like, if she's believing us at
of
the time, I
course.
mean, if she's thinking she's getting her dream home,
Can you imagine?
I would be devastated, I have
Yeah.
to say.
That's what I mean. She seems to take it in her stride. I have to say, like,
Really?
once she finds
I would
out,
be devastated and be like, I hate you.
yeah, of course. So they were gonna have a large courtyard. They were gonna have stables on one side to get a horse for their daughter. They were gonna have a big extension on the other side, which would have a snooker room, a gym, a swimming pool, and a guest house. So all of that was gonna cost about 300,000.
Right.
So first on Howard's shopping list, not Kathy's, Howard's shopping list was the swimming pool. So he went to order the swimming pool.
What?
And he got told it would cost between £25,000 and £40,000.
Right.
And then he ordered a £6,500 pool table.
Right.
And then he had plans made up for a new kitchen. And Kathy said it was her dream kitchen. And she described it as costing peanuts because it was only 17,000. That's what she thought at the time. Like, obviously now we're just telling it, but she's like, at the time, because we were millionaires, £17,000, that was a really good price, like, for this kitchen. I'm thinking, really? Okay. So on paper, Howard spent $500,000 on the house. And then on top of that, there was the cost of the holiday, the cars, the party, and the pedigree Labrador puppy that he ordered for Kathy. See, that's what I mean. Like, he's encouraging this.
Yeah, totally. Like, how is he thinking he's gonna get away with this?
Well, obviously he's not, because things weren't going well in the relationship. Because Kathy was happy. She was living the dream. She was, planning on her dream house. And, can you imagine?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I would be devastated.
So he was getting more miserable because, like, he must have known
at some point this was going to come out.
This is all going to come crashing down.
Absolutely.
So they would have arguments and things, and like Howard would storm out the house. Little did Kathy know he was going off to the newsagents to buy the lottery tickets.
What was he trying to genuinely win the lottery? Imagine if that had happened.
So he would spend between £60 and £70 a week on them, hoping that he would win and it wouldn't be a lie anymore.
Oh God.
He said he had a gut feeling he was going to win. And there was one Saturday, Kathy was upstairs in the bath and Howard was watching the lottery on television. And his first four balls came out and matched his.
Yeah.
So he only needed 2 more to win the jackpot. But of course, he didn't. So, but I was like, well, he did have a gut feeling that he was going to win. He got 4 numbers.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know did you say how much you got for it?
I think back then, it was something, did you not get like about 40 quid or something like that?
Yeah.
60 quid maybe, something like that.
Maybe.
It wasn't very much.
No.
So he had to carry on week after week, buying lottery tickets and praying for that big win.
Oh my God. Oh, he's an idiot, isn't he?
Complete fucking idiot. So I thought you might like to make a more light-hearted.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
episode.
how stupid you need to be.
Is it good that we're having... There's no murder on this, by the way.
Oh no, I was going to say...
Yeah, there's no murder. There's no death.
There's no death.
It's some broken dreams. But, yeah, nothing as bad as what we usually cover.
Yeah,
So 4 months after the fake win, Howard turned to alcohol. He would go out every night. But because everyone thought he was rich and he had to keep up the lie, he ended up spending a fortune by buying everybody else drinks.
God.
So he was like skint and like didn't have any, obviously hadn't won the lottery, but like he's having to act like he has.
Oh my God.
But the high street banks, this is what I couldn't believe, the high street banks even found out about the win. So they all wanted Howard's business.
Right.
So all these banks helped him set up accounts, and he ended up with more than a dozen accounts from all these different banks. There was even one bank who he owed £1,000 to, and they just said, "Oh, just forget about that. Just come and invest your money with us."
All right.
So I'm assuming he must have had like access to like overdrafts with these accounts.
Yeah.
And that's how he's managing to still find cash.
Right. Okay.
So that's how he's splashing the cash bit, because he's getting like using these overdrafts and stuff.
Oh my God.
So this is quite sad actually. As they were going to be moving and buying new stuff, Kathy started giving everyone away. So like she gave away all the furniture, all their appliances, all their household stuff, because obviously, wouldn't you? You're moving into a new house.
Shame.
I know that. Well, he's letting her do that, like knowing at some point she's gonna have to go and beg for it back.
Oh, that's awful.
It is. It's really bad.
Yeah, he's actually a complete twat.
Yeah. Oh, yes. But then again, the bills were still mounting up. Kathy's doubts started again, and she got to the stage where she just had to know for sure. She's like, she needed it confirmed how much Howard had won, so she told him, right, you have to prove it. I didn't believe it. Like, I want to see that that money. So Howard had an idea.
Oh God, I dread to think what kind of idea he's going to come up with.
Well, remember, he's got all these different accounts, these bank accounts. So what he did was he wrote a cheque to himself for 8.9 million. And he paid it into one of his accounts. So he knew that it would bounce.
Right.
But it wouldn't bounce for a few days. So when he went to the cash machine, and it would show up on his balance, so he just printed off a statement at the cash machine, so the balance showed that he had the 8 million on his balance. Quite clever, actually, really.
Yeah,
got to give him that.
I'll give him his due. That's quite a smart idea.
So that's what he used to prove to anyone who asked. So he had a checkbook from an old account that he had shut down. So he still had the checkbook. So he used that to pay checks into his new account. So over 3 months, he bounced checks for himself for over £3 million. So, excuse me, I had to burp. Sorry. I had a dry mouth, I needed a drink.
Seriously,
So
that's not what people want to hear.
I know, so I'm really hoping that nobody actually heard it. Did you
Well, they're
hear
going to know about it now, aren't they?
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, alright, okay. Anyway, as he showed a statement to the estate agents, they went ahead and told the owners of the farmhouse that Howard had enough funds to buy their house. Because he showed the statement to the estate agents, so they're like, alright, he's got the money, the sale can go ahead.
Alright, okay.
So he wrote a cheque to pay for this house, and these... I'm laughing now. I'm still laughing because of my burp. Sorry, I'm not laughing at that. Right. Deep breath. So, yeah. So he actually went to the house and helped the owners move out.
Oh my God.
But they had agreed to move out a bit earlier so that Howard and Kathy could get the renovations started. So wherever they were moving in mustn't have been ready yet. So they were just like moving into a wee caravan.
Right.
Just until their new place was ready.
Right.
And Howard knew, you know what I mean? He's helping them move into this little caravan, like, knowing that this is not going to happen.
I know, that's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. So, actually, I've typed, so there was good old Howard helping them move into this tiny little caravan while he was fake buying their house.
Yeah. Well, it was.
So, we're on to moving day.
Oh God. But how? How has it got that far?
I have no idea.
Because... obviously, I have just recently moved house, right? So, in my knowledge of moving house, you have up until so for instance, say their completion date was the 31st of January.
My wedding anniversary.
You would have up until 5 days before that to have the funds available to buy the house. So if they've not shown, so up until that point, it can all go along nicely. But if you don't prove and have the funds, then it won't go through. So how has they got to a moving day if he hasn't got the funds to prove that he's going to buy it? Because a bank, they're not going to take you can the bank statement won't do anything. You have to physically be paying your solicitors or whatever the money so that they can complete the transaction. So how has it got to the moving day?
I don't know.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm asking, like, out loud.
know.
Maybe I know you don't know the answer, but... kind of.
I don't know. I thought I'd just let you get it out there and just... I don't know. Sorry, I kind of had this... Obviously, I mean, things... We do have different sort of laws and whatnot in England and Scotland, but surely they can't be that much different that you can buy a house just like that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, so I was wondering as well, but... It was on the documentary, so...
Alright, fair enough.
So we got to moving day. So, Kathy got up early, 6 o'clock in the morning. The house is all packed up. She's given all her furniture and everything away. All their personal stuff's all packed up, ready to go. And then there's a banging on the front door. And it was the police shouting that they had a warrant for Howard's arrest.
Alright.
So they were investigating claims of fraud involving Howard's previous company that he had.
Right.
They had no idea about the lottery thing.
Alright, okay.
So Howard said that when he realised it was the police, he thought he did think it was about the lottery, and he said he felt relieved because he wouldn't have to lie anymore. But according to the police, Howard said, "I'm a lottery winner, what's the problem?"
So he did lie.
Yeah. But what? You just said that you were going to be relieved so you didn't have to lie anymore.
But then you're telling you're a lottery
But
winner.
apparently he said, I'm a lottery winner, what's the problem? Everybody's going to get their money back. So come back and see me later. The police are like, no mate. Yeah, that's what the police do. Like, alright, okay mate, we'll just come back later on.
No bother, yeah.
Just give you time to dare runner.
Uh-huh.
So obviously they took him to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
So Howard and Kathy didn't get to move into the farmhouse. I said that day, they didn't get to move into it at all.
No.
Howard was kept all day at the police station being interviewed, and all day he stuck to his lie of winning the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually he broke down, and it was at night time. He eventually admitted to the officers that he hadn't won the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
So they came out of the interview room and Kathy was waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the police officers said to Kathy, Howard's got something to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
How embarrassing, with the policeman acting like he's been a naughty school kid or
Yeah,
something, eh? He's
I
got
know.
something to tell you. So obviously, Howard told her it was all a lie and they weren't millionaires, can you imagine? I would... Well,
I've been done for assault.
Yeah.
Punch in the face.
I'm not actually quite sure. They didn't go into detail about sort of when he told her, but she just said later she just wanted to get home, shut the door and cry.
Mm-hmm.
She threw Howard out and, kind of started to tell everybody, about that it was a lie and everything. So I think she probably tried to get her furniture back.
But I just wonder, did you say it was a council house that lived?
Yeah.
So I would have thought that she would have agreed to should have been telling the council that she was giving it up. So what if they'd lined up somebody else to move in?
Well, I have no idea, but they were still in that house, so they obviously hadn't
Right.
got. Maybe they hadn't told the council
maybe,
yet,
yeah.
or maybe she'd told Howard to tell the council, and obviously Howard knew that they weren't
Yeah.
going to be moving out, so maybe Howard never told the council,
Yeah,
so
that's
they
true.
managed to keep their house. But then Kathy had another shock.
Mm-hmm.
The detectives that were investigating Howard's fraud told her that Howard had a mistress.
All right.
Again, how embarrassing! The police are telling you
I know.
that your husband's got a mistress.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. I would be mortified.
Yeah, I think I would probably have killed him, to be fair. So, Howard had persuaded this other woman to take out £30,000 in loans to pay for a new life together. But he had actually used the money to convince everyone that he'd won the lottery. So I think this must have been before the bank started throwing money at him. I think this is where he's, obviously to start off with he said he borrowed a couple of grand from the bank.
Yeah.
But then I think he'd conned this woman into
Getting 30,000.
getting £30,000. I think. I'm just thinking, what the hell did he spend all that money on?
I know.
So basically, he totally manipulated that relationship just to get the money, and then once he had it, he was just going to convince his wife that he was a lottery winner. I mean, how sick is that for both women?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, to con one person out of money, to go and
Spend on
spend another one.
pretending that he's a millionaire.
Yeah, absolutely
Promising
awful.
her a life of luxury, and I mean, even going as far as to try to buy a house and stuff. And the poor people that I thought they'd sold their house as well.
Well, yeah, they lost out. I think I maybe said later on. I think I said how much they lost out on. We'll get to that. So now that Kathy had thrown him out, Howard decided the only way to get her back was to get a job. Well done, mate. That's what normal people do. They, they go out and work a proper job.
Yeah, exactly.
So that he could give her the money to start paying debts. So that it did work. 3 months later, Kathy took him back. Because I'm watching this documentary going, why is she still with him?
Yeah, why are they still together?
Yeah. So he was then charged with multiple counts of deception, and a court date was set. So whilst he was waiting to go to court, Howard went to see a psychiatrist, and he was told that he was at a high risk of reoffending.
Alright.
But Howard's like, no, I don't agree with that. I've learnt my lesson. I've changed. I wouldn't take risks anymore. So he was charged with 13 counts of deception. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Right.
And his nickname in prison was Bonus Ball.
Bonus ball.
Bonus ball, aye, for the lottery.
Bonus ball.
I didn't write down how much. Do you know what? I did write it down, but I didn't type it. The people that he bought the farmhouse from, I'm sure they said that they ended up losing out on £30,000 or something like that because of Howard.
Because of it, yeah.
Yeah. So when he went to prison, Kathy was sticking by him. But I don't know if she was still waiting for him when he got out, because I know that they're not together anymore.
Right, okay.
So the story doesn't end here.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, where's it gonna go? Like,
Right. So, but it was quite when Howard did go to prison though. He did say, "Oh, I promise you'll wait for me." And she was like, "No, I'm not promising you." Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Well, that's nice." Okay, so I'm saying that poor guy. No, actually, he deserved to.
Well, aye.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's the end of the lottery story. Mm-hmm. So
it goes on.
Yeah, there is another bit to it about something else. But I just wanted to say that why
what?
If my husband did that to me, mm-hmm. I don't think I could forgive him for that. I mean, we have went through life being, not being poor but not being rich. I mean, yeah, we're living.
Yeah.
But we've never had we've not had a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, it's always, there's times when you sit and you have a conversation about, what would you buy if we won the lottery? We'd do this, we'd do that.
Yeah.
So to actually be able to live out that dream that and then for it to turn around and he's like, nah, it was all a lie. Yeah. And especially after going so far as to be, you've picked out your dream house, you've picked out your dream kitchen, all that stuff. And then to add insult on top of that, he's had another woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I can forgive him.
No, no. And the way that in the documentary, the way that they were talking about it, she was, as I said earlier, she was just so matter of fact. Like, oh, you did this, didn't you? And, oh, yeah, you said that, didn't you? And
yeah.
I don't think I would be able to talk about it without punching him in the face.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Like, to sell you that sort of dream to make you think that it's going to happen, and then for actually it's all to be a lie. Because I would feel like a complete and absolute idiot. Because. You know what it's like. You would say to people, oh yeah, I'm moving here and I'm getting this and I'm getting that. And
you would be promising people things like your family, oh, I'll pay your mortgage off for you, or I'll take you on holiday.
Because I've always said if I won the lottery, then I would make sure that all my family's got a bit, and
yeah, of course,
a couple of my close friends, I'd make sure they were all right. Obviously if you won like if I won like
depending on how much you win, yeah,
if you won like millions, then definitely.
So that's what I mean, like, so. You've been sold that dream, mm-hmm. So, but then on top of that, you've got the humiliation of, like, not only have you just lost that dream, you've got the humiliation of telling everybody that mm-hmm. you're poor, that you're back, you need your furniture back,
yeah,
and whatever household stuff you gave away. I'm sorry, by the way, can I have it back, please? I mean, it was just. No.
And then to find out that he's cheating on you as well. Nah, I'm not sure I don't think forgive that.
I could forgive that either. No. But as I said, they're not together anymore. But I don't know why they're not. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if she was still waiting for him when he got out of jail, because obviously he was sentenced to 3 years. I don't even know if he probably didn't even do the whole 3 years.
No, well, probably not.
But yeah, that was basically the end of the story.
Right.
But I noticed, when you're on YouTube mm-hmm. and you're watching like a video on YouTube, you see like sort of other stories at the side.
Uh-huh.
And there was another story that caught my eye at the side.
Right.
And it was on This Morning, which for people that are not in the UK, it's like a morning television programme.
Yeah, yeah.
That's on every Monday to Friday and have guests and what I'm sure other countries have the same version of it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And this woman was a guest on that.
Right.
So I decided to watch it to see if it was connected with mm-hmm. this story, and it was.
Oh, right.
So, Howard is not actually called Howard.
What?
His real name is John Eric Wells.
Okay.
And he has previously gone by Howard Walmsley and Howard Hemmings.
Right.
There is an international police manhunt for him, as from September 2019, for conning 3 women out of over £400,000.
Oh, what?
So, the only one that I really have any information on is Hazel Wilkins. This is the one that was on This Morning, so she's been interviewed by Philip and Holly.
Uh-huh. So,
Hazel had a good job, she had money in the bank, she had a nice house, good life. Mm-hmm. She met this John Wells online in June 2014. They would just chat just about everyday things, and he told Hazel that he owned his own business, he travelled a lot for work. I think he said he had hotels in different countries and things.
Right.
And they started a relationship, and Hazel fell in love with him. On the 28th of December 2015, John proposed to her in front of her family and friends. Mm-hmm. However, every time they had a date set for the wedding, he kept cancelling for various reasons, like having to go away for work, or there was like people dying that, you know, somebody had died that he knew.
Right, okay.
So the wedding just never went ahead.
Right.
Money-wise, like quite soon into the relationship, John asked Hazel for £2,000, and the reason for that was just that he couldn't get to the bank. So, you know, she was a kind of a bit, but alright, okay.
Yeah.
But then later he borrowed £15,000 from Hazel's sister and £5,000 from her daughter and said it was for a restaurant that he'd bought in Guernsey.
Right.
He also took out 2 loans in Hazel's name in 2015, one for £10,000 and the other one for £7,500.
I feel like I know this story.
Maybe you watched it on This Morning.
Yeah, I feel like I know that part of it.
Yeah. Well, as Hazel and John were going to move in together, Hazel sold her house. Because obviously they were going to get a house together.
I've heard this story before.
Yeah.
It must have been This Morning or whatever.
So she also gave up her job as she was going to run the restaurant in Guernsey.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually Hazel ended the relationship. I'm not exactly sure why. But I think she was getting suspicious of him being away all the time, and maybe he was just being dodgy because, you know, he is a con man.
Yeah, fair enough.
So after a while after they split up, Hazel got a phone call from a woman called Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Lynn told Hazel that John had been living with her the whole time that he was with Hazel.
Right.
So basically, John had been living in a flat in Doncaster with Lynn.
Right.
And allegedly stealing money from her. And it looks like that when he was with Hazel in Brighton, he was using that money to spend on her. So that's how he was making it look like he was a successful businessman.
Yeah.
He was taking Lynn's money and
How
spending
has he
it
had
on
all
Hazel.
this time to... Oh, that must be so much effort to try and keep up a life like that.
No idea. But he vanished in 2017. And as far as I can tell, the police still haven't found him. I saw that, you know, the manhunt thing for September 2017. I haven't seen any updates. So he's wanted in connection with 3 high-value romance frauds,
Right.
during which 3 victims lost money totalling more than £400,000. And he's actually one of 14 most wanted men in South Yorkshire.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I will put his photo on social media, and fun fact, he looks like Ian Beale from Coronation Street.
Oh, really?
Not Coronation Street,
No,
EastEnders.
EastEnders.
Got the wrong one. Yeah, he does. It not like in his younger years, but in the photo that they put out for the manhunt, I was like, maybe you should go and look in Walford. You know, he looks like Ian Beale from EastEnders.
Okay.
But if anyone knows where he is, you just contact South Yorkshire Police on 101, quoting investigation number A54532/17, and I'll put that in the show notes. So if anybody does know where this guy is, then let the police know.
Absolutely.
I did see on one, I don't know if it, you know, obviously I was just having a research on the internet, and there was a post that said something about him being in, I think it was Asia or something like that. I mean, it could be anywhere. It could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But he is a con man, and I mean, he could be conning somebody as we speak.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
So,
Well, you got to think that surely maybe must be, because how's he funding whatever life he's living?
well, yeah. I mean, this guy obviously doesn't know how to just go and get a job and live like a normal person. He has to steal money off women. But you notice what it's like, you know, I got in that bit about when he went to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist said he was going to reoffend, and he's like, no, I don't agree with that.
Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah, and I did try and Google to see where Kathy was now, you know, his wife.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of wondering, did she know that his name wasn't Howard?
Yeah.
And, you know, did she know? But I couldn't, anything I typed in her name, it would just come up about the lottery lie. So, yeah. And actually, there is a documentary about that, but there is also actually a film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which I didn't know until I watched that clip on This Morning about Hazel.
Right.
And it was Philip Schofield actually said there's a film called Can't Buy Me Love, and it's Martin Kemp
Oh, right, yeah.
and Michelle Collins, you know,
Yeah,
Cindy Beale at EastEnders.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in EastEnders as well, wasn't he, Martin
was,
Kemp?
Yeah, he was. He was Steve.
Steve Owen.
Steve Owen,
that's
that's
it.
right, yeah.
So it was those two. So there's a film, and it was basically they had different names and stuff like that, but it was inspired by
that story.
that story. And I watched it the other night. I thought, well, you know, now that I've done this, I'll just get it. And it was actually quite good. It's on YouTube. Found it on YouTube. So I watched that.
Cool.
So there you go.
Wow, well that was
Different.
different and Oh, and again, ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. Light-hearted, which makes a change.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I know people have been hurt and
Yeah.
people have lost, they've had their dreams broken, they've had their money stolen. I mean,
Oh, yeah. It's horrible.
Hazel, on this morning, it was really sad. But, I mean, she did cry, and she said that she will never trust. She'll never love anybody again.
No.
So I mean, it is really sad.
Oh,
but,
yeah, of course.
It's not like our usual episodes
No,
with
it's not
murder
gruesome.
and.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's still somebody's reality.
Oh
sadly.
yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, you still have to have respect for that. But yeah, I did want to do. I thought when I did see it, I thought I'd just do something a little bit different for
I
a
like it when we
change.
do different ones,
Yeah,
because I
just
mean,
a little bit
as I
lighthearted.
said, a murder is a murder, and there are obviously different ways of that. But it's nice when you get a totally random story as well that just keeps it interesting. I think.
Yeah,
So,
I think we're interesting.
yeah, you just burp on.
I know, I just
Yeah.
burp. Yeah, I bet not many podcasters burp on their podcast.
No, probably not.
Keeping it real.
Yes, we are real. We are rubbish at times.
Never mind. Anyway, so thank you for listening. And if you would like to follow us on social media, we are on Instagram and Twitter.
Which is crime_divers_pod.
We have a Facebook page.
Crime Divers Podcast.
You can email us at.
crime_divers_pod@outlook.com.
You can subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Which is just Crime Divers Podcast.
And we have Patreon, which search for Crime Divers Podcast. We have two bonus episodes a month.
Early access.
We'll give you a shout out on the show. And prices start from as little as £1 a month. So please subscribe, rate,
Review.
Thank you.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.